Mayor, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for June 21st, 2012 to order at 8:05 p.m. On roll call, council members Castiglia.
Here.
Coletti.
Here.
Conboy.
Here.
Chawinski.
Here.
Paulsino.
Here.
Work. Here. Mayor Mola.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will everyone please rise for a prayer and flag salute? Oh God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting which we trust to your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and plant them in a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Casmo?
Statement of compliance.
Oh. Thank you. Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey requires the commencement of every meeting a statement of compliance be read by the presiding officer. Now therefore be advised the meeting requirements of this meeting have been met by posting an annual notice in the Record of Hackensack and the Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk as well in a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted on January 1, 2012. And ladies and gentlemen, I will read this at the end also. If you're watching on cable TV and you happen to pick it up for the first time, the meetings will be shown on channel 66, 67, Thursday 4 to 7 p.m., Thursday 4 to 7 p.m., and Mondays at 2 p.m. And of course, if you want to watch it on our website, it's www.elmwoodparknj.us. Thank you.
Mayor,
And while I'm speaking about that, let me indicate that in the past we've had some problems with our audio. We're hoping that's been corrected. Our videographer has been working diligently about doing that, and I hope you do hear me with a nice, clear voice, and you receive that on your television. Thank you.
Mayor, this evening under the approval of minutes, we have the May 31st, 2012 regular meeting, the May 31st, 2012 executive session, and the June 7th, 2012 regular meeting.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Castiglia, second.
Second.
Mr. Work, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Conboy.
Yes.
Chawinski.
Yes.
Paulsino.
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening under ordinances on first reading, we have Resolution 205-12, introduce ordinance 12-13 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled An Ordinance to Amend Chapter 34 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, titled Zoning and Site Plan Review, be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, July 19th, 2012 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and he is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Chawinski, second.
Second.
Mr. Coletti, any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, if I may, regarding this ordinance, I did not see in it the section that pertains to the sunset, the one-year sunset that we discussed. And I know for a fact I would like to see that in there as we did discuss it.
Yes.
You're correct, Councilman, and I know I prepared it. I guess I didn't send it over here. So it would just be in addition to Section 4, according to law, it would state, and shall expire 1 year after passage unless readopted by the governing body.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes, Mayor. I guess it was at the last public meeting 2 weeks ago, Councilman Chawinski stated that he had several ordinances coming up that will make it easier for businesses to come into town. And he also asked for the support of the rest of the council to get these ordinances passed. I really would support ordinances helping businesses open up in our town. However, I believe the new ordinance that we're looking at tonight could threaten the quality of life of any of the residents in that immediate area. I can't support that. I've gone through this before. I think also that the new ordinance might allow new businesses to come into town that could create a hardship on the existing businesses that are in the area already and might be struggling just to stay alive. I feel that this new ordinance might cause both of those problems. Now, also, I think the borough attorney had asked for a little extra time to research some items on this, or part of this ordinance. Like I said, I've been through this before. You know, my block was in turmoil over something similar to this when this ordinance wasn't in effect. When this ordinance was in effect, I think it was in 2005. We had something similar to this. I wouldn't even be able to go home and tell these people that we approved something like this again. So for those reasons, and they've not really been notified, the people on these blocks that are touching Broadway and Market Street, really, I don't believe they've been notified that this is going on. I would make a motion to table it until some of those things are taken care of.
Tabling motion made by Mr. Castiglia. Any second, please? No second, the motion dies. Any other discussion?
Yes, if I may, Mayor, to answer Mr. Castiglia's comments, like I did over the past month on these previous discussions on this ordinance. Number one, this ordinance for the public, if anybody really wants to know what's going on, hasn't attended a work meeting, they can call me anytime, and I'll explain it to them. What it does is streamline a process that's a little bit outdated except for one or two towns, where these applicants, such as the poor guy who just took over our bakery, had to go back to the planning board and spend $1,800 in a month and a half's time. Now, you can argue that it only takes 10 days, 50 days, whatever you want to say, and you could say it's an LLC like we've been through the discussions. It's irrelevant, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. This is proper procedure and it should be followed to make it easier for business to get in here. And if you think that businesses don't help pay your tax rates, just look at what we have, empty stores and things. But this is not going to circumvent planning board, because we did have our building inspector, who is a zoning official, do this parallel to the last meeting of our planning board, where 5 out of the 7 applications were actually sent to the planning board. And rightfully so, that's his decision. But bear in mind that this is really a proper procedure that should be done. It is not circumventing the planning board, and it's not going to ruin the quality of life, because if you're really concerned about your quality of type of stores, you should come to your planning board meetings and your mayor and council and have the zones changed, which is the proper way to do it. We cannot zone against certain businesses by just simply going before a planning board. What is on the law we have to follow, regardless if it's 9 members or 1 member. And that's where I stand on this issue, Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, just one other response. Like I said, you know, I've been on the planning board for a long time. I want to see businesses come into town. I want to see them be successful. I want to see the businesses that are here already survive. If we want an ordinance like a bakery coming in to take over for a bakery, I have no problem with that. Why isn't it just stated that way? That
Well,
a
it's permitted-
use can come in and take over an identity.
Larry, we went
use
through
and
this-
no
Wait,
problem. It states something, 10,000 square feet. That's a lot of building. That could cover a lot of different things that I thought we weren't even, like my concern, like I said, is one store coming into the same kind of use and taking over that same store, a bakery for a bakery. I have no problem with that. I believe our ordinance should be streamlined to accommodate those kind of people. But I believe the ordinance is like a blanket coverage, and it covers a lot of things that we're not even talking about here.
Mayor, if I may, I'd just like to elaborate. First and foremost, I respect Councilman Castiglia's views on this to the utmost. He's been on that planning board for 55 years.
Yeah, at least 100.
A long time.
I know he was that old.
Yeah. But I just think, Councilman, that if you look at what we're trying to do here, it's not as deep as one might think. Basically, 20%, the way I see it, 20% of the applicants will not have to go in front of the planning board, and they were probably a menace to the planning board anyhow. And in the interim, we're going to be saving the board's time, we're going to be saving the applicant's time and money. And today, you look at the economy and in all different avenues, look what this council has done in this town here. 25% of the workforce is gone, and we're still running a tight ship. I think you have to take that reduction, that percentage that the economy is down, and give it across the board, and that is to businessmen alike. So, and if for some reason this isn't a perfect amendment, we have a one-year sunset to it, and we can rediscuss it, we'll monitor it, and change it if need be.
With all due respect, it didn't take a year for 99 Cent Dreams to come in on Broadway and cause neighbors that lived next door to each other for 30 years to be fist fighting in the middle of the street. I stepped into the middle of a few of those to break it up. I don't want to see that again. Believe me, I hope nothing but success for this ordinance. It's going to get passed, obviously, anyway. And I want it to work properly. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope I'm wrong, that anything bad might happen from this. I swear, I hope I'm wrong. But I just wanted to bring that out there. That's my feelings on it. I feel for some of the residents in those areas because I've been associated with it. And I just hope that this doesn't cause that again. That's it.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
I feel for every resident.
Sure.
For every resident and all their opinions, Larry. But I just can't get it through to you after all these discussions. You don't have the right as a planning board to turn this down if it's permitted use and it meets all the criteria. And our borough attorney is right here. You can correct me if I'm wrong. This just streamlines who it goes to, whether it goes to you or a different zoning officer or a group or a committee, whatever. That's all it does. It's not circumventing the laws, believe me. And this, if anybody has a problem, my phone number is 201-797-1065.
Is this the same written ordinance that we had in 05? Is it the same?
No, this came from a couple other towns. You can ask Brian where it actually came from, but he'll tell you.
Where'd it come?
Where'd it come from, Brian?
Isn't it the same ordinance that was in existence in 05?
I changed the existing ordinance that we had in order to provide that applications did not automatically go to the planning board, they went to the zoning officer, and he would make a determination. That's the only change that this ordinance makes.
Hey, that's weird.
I don't know what was in
Enough.
05.
All right, thank you.
Councilman, I'm sorry.
You're not familiar with 05, in other words.
I'm not.
Okay, so.
All right, thank you.
And the other side of the coin is, Larry, no one on this council would put anything forward that's a detriment to the taxpayers. Business is needed in certain districts, is correct, but zones do have to be updated and changed from time to time, and I welcome that idea. I even talked to you about going on a committee where we do this, where we do a 15-year plan and have the residents come in and talk about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else?
That's it.
You all know I'm in disagreement with this ordinance. We have 9 people on the planning board who know the town. We ask questions. We obviously know that the decision has to be made correctly. We've had 224 applications since 2006, and there hasn't been a rejection of any of these applications. Two of them were. One was for 7-Eleven on the Boulevard and Market Street, and one was near the Catholic Church's convent, and no houses have been built. We lost both cases going to Hackensack Court. Now, we just had a meeting, a planning board meeting, in which a nail salon came in, and they've been going to the subcode official and telling them they're managing the store. They weren't managing it, they bought it. They bought the business. They didn't buy the building, they bought the business. Now, we found that out. The subcode official didn't find it. We have 9 members on the planning board, and it's like a little slap in the face that they're not participating in it. They're not hurting anybody. None of them have been rejected. We've had some people reconsider because they thought on Broadway they were going to park across the street in the shopping center. We said, no, you can't park there. Huh, well, I'll have to think it over. We present good questions to them, and we present questions that they answer, they think about. As a matter of fact, we had one come in the new Markel facility, and the question was, how much noise is this machine going to make? Nothing wrong with asking questions like that.
No.
And there are 9 of us. The building inspector doesn't, the subcode official doesn't live in town. Now we're going to have a problem because he is a community sharing individual. The other community he works at has the same ordinance that we have. Are they going to cancel that one? I doubt it. This ordinance has worked for 7 years. We've had no problems. No attorney has complained. No applicant has complained. We charge $100 for the application fee. If everybody's concerned about the application fee for $100, listen, the person who's leasing the property can say, listen, I'll forego 1 month's rent to pay that. It's $100. That's the problem with business. They have to pay a little bit for business. It's not a major thing. We've had 244 without a problem. I mentioned that before. As a matter of fact, we had a work meeting, and we had the Chamber of Commerce come in, and the Chamber of Commerce didn't pick out one person and say they refused to come in because it was too high in cost and it would take too long to do it. Well, if you're going into business, I hope 10 days isn't too long to think about it. You know, my vote would be for the residents. I've been here when we've had Florence Place attempt to secede from the borough. It's going to happen again, and I counsel the council to look at the parking situation on Route 4, because right now they can park anywhere. And we have a dry cleaner coming in on Route 4. There's only 2, maybe 3 parking spaces in front of the dry cleaner. They're going to be parking on Florence Place. And by coming to the planning board, I made that specific, that it wasn't in law. Now there's no parking there, but they can put it back again where you can have parking on either side of the street. You can have parking with a time limit on it. They're going to need 5 parking spaces. I don't know where they're going to park. It's not the best situation, as I've indicated. I think the fee of $100 is not exorbitant. I mentioned the nail salon that came in. I want to tell you, gentlemen, that they came in. They have parking, but if there's an overflow of parking, they're going to be parking on Hillman Drive. Of course, there's no other parking. And they also have another section of that building that they can't fill because there's no more parking. Just can't fill it. So I think this is wrong. The owner of the building has to have 1 unit vacant because came to the planning board, we checked out all the parking. Everything there is using up all the parking, doesn't have any more parking. These are just some of the items that I think are wrong. May I just conclude by saying, if it's not broken, why fix it? Let them come to the planning board. If you don't want to charge them, let the attorney work on that. Let them work on that. As for having a LLC, and they have to pay extra, that's a state law. It's not our law. We're not gaining by it. We're not trying to hurt anybody. Mr. Castiglia said it properly. By putting a new unit in, you may be hurting the person next to him, the business next to him. Because the dry cleaners that's coming in has 2 nail salons, 1 on each side, 3 parking spaces. It's terrible. I don't know how they're going to make it. I don't know how they're going to make it. Call a roll, please.
1 minute. Can I just address some of those statements, please?
Sure.
Okay. As far as the businesses don't coming before and saying that it's a burden on them, I can understand that feeling, and many businesses won't because they'll feel they'd be picked out from the group or something, and I can understand that. There's letters on file. I know real estate people have been sending letters and telling that a lot of businesses just refuse to come here because of the process. And I know I haven't seen them yet, but I've heard they've been sent. But it doesn't matter either way to me. But it does matter to me that when we say we're not in the best interest of the taxpayers. The nail salon we're talking about, we had our building inspector parallel these 7 applications. And this is one of the applications the building inspector actually would have sent to the planning board based on the facts that they told him it was they owned it, but it was only a management place. He brought that to light in his report, if you look at it. The other thing I do take exception to is it's only a $100 fee in 10 days. It's more than $100. You have to advertise 14 days before the meeting. And usually if you don't get on that meeting, you get on the next one, you miss a month. And the consensus is, and most of the businesses are spending about $1,800 to $2,000, irrelevant of the fact that you need a lawyer or private. You'd be a fool to come to the planning board without a land use attorney, number one. Number two is $1,800 is a lot of money to a business today. And we are one of the few towns, I say that with all sincerity, and I'll give you the other towns that are doing it, one of the few towns that have this. And what I really take exception to is our building inspector not being able to do it. I spearheaded that joint services with the town of Rochelle Park over much objections. And what I did when these 2 towns got together, our permits have been greater. Nothing is sitting backlogged. We were turning smoother than it ever has. And I take exception to the fact that, well, he's only going to be here part-time, because it's not part-time here, it's full-time for both towns. If we need him, we can call him in Rochelle Park. Has been stated on the record by the building department, I work for both towns full-time. You could reach me anytime. And then again, one more time I'm going to say it. We're not out here to hurt the residents. We're here to improve businesses, and we're also here to follow the laws that we set. Now, if we don't like these zoning laws, and you people out there whose areas are affected, you should come to our council meeting and we can change those zones. But these parameters that are followed by the planning board as well as a zoning official. Thank you.
Mr. Chewinski, I would like to make a correction. I never said our building, our subcode official couldn't handle it. I said our subcode official is now going to be on one ordinance with us, and the other town he works for has the same ordinance we have. Everything must go to the planning board. So I didn't say he couldn't handle it.
No, but
okay, let me finish. All right. Now it's $1,800 that they have to pay.
That's average, but it could be 4.
It could be more.
Right.
It's business.
That's right.
And if they want to come to the planning board, they can come to the planning board without going to the work session. They can come to the planning board 10 days before, just get in time for 10 days. That's not a major situation.
All right,
it's not a major situation. 10 days, 12 days before. And it's the other point is transparency. It's here at the planning board. Anybody who wants to come in can come to the planning board and see it done. They don't have to find out, oh, I didn't know that was in the paper. I didn't know that the subcode official did it. Then it pits the subcode official with the applicant. Well, I said this, no, you didn't, so forth. We have a record. That record will be here. That record will be permanent. And then you're not getting said, he said, she said. It's permanent. And we are able, not that our subcode official isn't able to do it, but with 9 people up here, we come up with some questions that are very informative to the applicant. We haven't heard anybody. And I have to tell you, it's going to run into a problem when you have something like a cleaner come in with 5 people working there and 3 parking spaces. Where are they going to park? And we're going to have that problem. And I would suspect you're going to have people from Florence Place and people along Market Street come in and say, they're going to be parking in front of my house all day long. What do I do? What do I do? Not trying to hurt anybody, but this situation has worked for 6 to 7 years. And it's gotten to the point, then I'll conclude, it's gotten to the point where even Florence Place, excuse me, gentlemen, even Florence Place has indicated they don't want parking. They want all parking on the street because they didn't want it before, now they want parking on the street. Wait till this comes in. They'll be back saying alternate side of the street parking, put the time on 2-hour parking. I think we're going back. And I've often used the phrase, you know.
Can I just add one other comment?
Yeah.
Sure,
excuse me, just say, and some of you may say, there he goes again, unintended consequences. Go ahead, Larry.
The building inspector we have right now is doing an excellent job. The one we had in 2005 might not have been doing his job as well. Now, I would think that when we create an ordinance, it would be an ordinance that would protect us no matter who the building official is. What if he's gone in 3 months? Are we going to revamp the ordinance again to meet the person that's implementing it? How do we work that? You would think the ordinance should protect us no matter who the building official is. Like I said, I think he's doing a terrific job down there, and he can handle it. If there's anybody that can handle it, it's the man we have down there now. But what if he's not there 6 months from now? This is another thing that bothers me. I think the ordinance should stand on its own merit, not on the person that's implementing it, because he could be gone next week. That's another thing that bothers me.
Call a roll, please.
One more thing, Mayor, if I may. The ordinance does stand on its own merit, Larry. If you hire an individual who's not competent, he should be fired. That's number one. The police have ordinances every day they enforce. They have to enforce those ordinances. Not the chief, the police have to. They work for him. These people work for us. They have to enforce it. In regards to the 10 days, it's more than 10 days. As far as you've been on the planning board for, what, 30 years, 20 years, whatever it is, I've been up and down New Jersey with land use since I'm 20. That puts me about 40 years, Larry, 40 years. And before this board, too, many times. And sometimes it is months, and I can tell you what the actual costs are. But the business that are crying out right now, this is not intent to hurt the people. If you feel that way, I'm sorry that you can't see it. I'm just sorry. But when you walk down Market Street, do you see anything that you don't like about it?
There's a few empty stores,
okay?
but is that because of
You
the
see parking
situation?
problems
Is
and things that should be addressed for the last
is
15
that
years?
because of the physical condition of the
But do you
street
see
itself?
zones that could
Gentlemen, one
have
at a time, please.
zones could have been changed for the better? Expand the zones, get what's like Fairlawn is doing, like Garfield is doing, getting professional planners that do these things, come in and help us out where we correct these problems?
You're talking about zoning people out completely. That
No,
can't
I'm not
come in
saying
at all.
zoning out, I'm saying increases, like you were talking about parking issues, which we agreed to address now with a 15-year plan. You said you would even go on that committee with us.
Yeah, but you're talking about picking businesses that shouldn't be in the area at all and
Right.
outlawing those
You
businesses.
can
from
zone
coming
what
to
you
that
want to.
area.
You can call
I don't agree
commercial
with that.
zone and outlaw fast foods. There's all different ways. But when you're ready to sit down, we'll talk about it. No
I don't
problem.
agree with outlawing certain kinds of businesses.
I don't think so.
No.
All right,
The businesses we're talking about are small businesses.
that's right, man.
We just had one, it was a tutoring business. How long was that gonna last? And I did check on Market Street. I think we have about 8 or 9 empty stores on Market Street. And 2 of them are just empty. One was a lawyer who was no longer there. We have 2 off Pine Street. It's a family situation. The fella just doesn't want to rent them. We have 2 more over across from the diner. He's never rented those. It's taken 3 years. There's no parking. He's never rented. Now we have this next one right next door to that that facility across from the diner. That cannot be rented because there's no parking. They're going to be parking on the street on Hillman Drive, right around the corner from Councilman Conboy, if they get that many people. So we don't have. I rode down Route 4 and I counted 13 stores empty on Route 4. You know, go to Ridgewood, they're empty. Most of the stores that are empty on Market Street, I would say about 4 to 5 of them are empty for years. And it's not because of us. They're empty for years. It's because the landlord doesn't want to do something with those stores for whatever reason he has. Call
Mayor,
the roll, please.
Mayor, one more thing. Nobody's blaming anybody or saying it's empty for reasons. It's empty for other reasons. Maybe people won't come here because why should I spend $1,800, $2,000 to go to a planning board when I can go to a town like Fairlawn or Garfield and get a zoning permit for what a permitted use is and walk in the door?
Then
It's
let them
not-
go.
that's-
They don't have the parking
But
problem that we
if you
have.
want to live with Market Street like this way, but I think my colleagues here, 5 out of us, 6 of us agree. And I think it'll work, Mayor, I really do.
I think it's going to create a problem, and
Because like, based on the last one, 5 out of 7 applications parallel he would have sent to the board. 5 out of 7.
we're making all this noise for 5 out of 7.
No, this is going to go on and on and on.
5 out of
All right,
7.
let's call it.
We'll see how many
All right, Mayor.
he brings back to us
Okay.
and where we're going on this.
All right, Mayor.
And I don't need anybody to tell me you're right. I just want to continue to.
I'll monitor it. I'll keep an eye for you, Mayor. Don't worry about it.
Well, I would like to keep an eye on
Well,
and see which ones he's doing.
Absolutely. I
See
think you
which
should go in
ones
there
he's
every
doing.
day and check on them. How's that?
I don't think anybody's not coming to Elmwood Park because they have to come to the planning board.
I
I've
beg
never heard
to
it.
differ with you, Mayor. I beg to differ with you.
Well, you can beg
Did
to
you-
differ
did you
with
get a-
me.
Did you
As
get a letter
mayor,
from a real estate broker lately?
as mayor, I have
Mayor?
not had anybody say I'm not coming into your town.
Did you
because
get a
of-"
real estate letter recently from someone from a broker in town?
No, I didn't.
Okay, thank you.
If a real estate, who's the real estate agent?
I'm just asking if you got a letter from real estate. I'm not mentioning the name, but did you get a 2-page letter defining why some of his people will not come to this town?
Well,
Did you? I asked, that's all I
no,
asked.
I don't recall.
Okay, of course. Okay.
I don't recall.
Call the roll.
But I have. Don't tell me to call the roll, Mr. Chewinski.
Well, Mayor, that's what you want to do. You want to call the roll. You want to cut it short? Cut it short.
But
We
I
want to
don't-
argue in front of the public?
I don't need somebody telling me what to do.
I'm
I'll
not
call
telling
the
you what
roll.
to do, Mayor.
I'll call the roll.
I stand with
and
the
you
council
just
the
keep
way they want
interrupting
to
me.
vote. The council wants to
I
vote
will
the way
call
they
the
vote.
roll when I want without you interrupting me.
Okay. All right.
I just
Okay.
want to say Councilman Conboy said nothing.
All right, Tommy.
I would just like to thank Councilman Conboy for his saying nothing on this. Okay? We don't have any problem with people wanting to come into Elmwood Park. We have apartments down here. People want to come to Elmwood Park, but they want to have a parking situation where in front of their own house they can park. Now call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
No.
Coletti,
Yes,
Conboy,
Yes.
Truinski,
Yes.
Bonsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening,
One other thing, I would like to have Mr. Giblin just research that ordinance again and see about parking and so forth, so that we have a more definite situation.
What ordinance is that, Mayor?
He said at the last public work meeting that he would like to look at it again to see if there's any other way we can handle this.
That wasn't the ordinance, Mayor. He was referring to the illegal COs being given out by the planning board. That is an illegal, that's
No,
not allowed. I
well-
think that's what, right? Is that correct, Brian?
Give out COs.
Brian,
We don't give COs.
no, Brian, well, then there's no problem, then there's nothing to be.
Well, he said he wanted more time to think about it and was rejected.
No, he don't, you can ask Mr. Giblin, did you want to find out about the continued COs or about the COs being issued by the planning board?
On the CO, the whole CO issue and whether or not, I think it may impact on this ordinance as well, actually. Because that's, one of the purposes of going to the board is to get a CO.
Right, but
So-
we said, the ordinance stands by itself, though, whether it goes to the board or the zoning official, doesn't make it legal or illegal. If the planning board cannot give COs, that's what you were going to look into.
Right.
That was what was brought up. It wasn't the legality of this particular ordinance.
Yeah, I just wanted an opportunity to look at this ordinance a
You can
little
look at it again. You got between first. Okay, Brian, thank you.
You got Mr. Chewinski's approval on it. Go ahead, Mr.
What was that, Mayor? I
Caswell.
didn't hear that comment.
I said you have your approval on it.
No, I just was curious. I couldn't hear. I'm sorry.
Mayor, the next three resolutions are to introduce three
Tough
ordinances
one.
that are required by the Department of Environmental Protection. We'll start with Resolution 206-12, introduce ordinance 12-14 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend Chapter 17 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park titled Environmental Protections be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, July 19th, 2012, at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and he is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Castiglia, second. Mr. Work, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Tomboy,
Yes.
Trewinski,
Yes.
Bonsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 207-12, introduce ordinance 12-15 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend Chapter 17 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Environmental Protections be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, July 19th, 2012, at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and he is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Bonsino, second.
Second.
Mr. Work, any discussion? Before we call a vote, the ordinance, the ordinance just before this was regulation of refuse containers and dumpsters, and this particular ordinance is a fertilizer application. These are ordinances we have to put in, it's a state requirement. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Tomboy.
Yes.
Trewinski.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. And finally, under introduction, Resolution 208-12, introduce ordinance 12-16 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend the Chapter 17 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Environmental Protections be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, July 19th, 2012, at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and he is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper notice of introduction as required by law.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Work, second.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Larry, Mr. Castiglia, any discussion? This is private storm drain inlet retrofitting. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Tomboy,
Yes.
Trewinski,
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening, under ordinances on second reading, we have Resolution 209-12, introduce ordinance 12-09 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled a capital ordinance of the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, authorizing the construction of a soccer field at English Avenue Park in, by, and for the Borough of Elmwood Park, appropriating thereof the sum of $67,500, and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from a county grant and from the recreation other expense current fund of the borough. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, June 7th, 2012, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled a capital ordinance, the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, authorizing the construction of a soccer field at English Avenue Park in, by, and for the Borough of Elmwood Park, appropriating therefore the sum of $67,500 and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from a county grant and from the recreation other expense current fund of the borough. Pass on final reading. Mayor will need a motion to open to the public.
Motion to open to the public, please.
So moved.
Mr. Boncino, second.
Second.
Council President Work, any discussion? All in favor, opposed? Three of you are out there. Anyone wish to speak on this? Last chance. I'll motion to close I'll close the public portion of the meeting. Motion on the second reading, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conboy, second.
Second.
Mr. Boncino. Discussion?
Mayor, if I may, can I make a couple of notes on this? I'm very excited about this second reading tonight for this capital improvement down there over at English Ave Park, as well as the mayor is and the council. We've worked on this now for quite some time, a little bit. If you all recall, Councilman Coletti actually mentioned something earlier on in that interesting conversation, which I had no part of. And one thing that, as he mentioned, is that we have been very smart in how we spend money and very frugal and carefully watching the municipality and so forth. And this has been one way that we have. When this park was definitely in need of some improvement. And some years back, our counterparts, the members from the members of the council from the on the Democratic side, purchased the property, some adjacent pieces of property down there. For about $500,000 or so, and they came in with their engineer at the time, T&M, to put in over a $3 million improvement down there was their idea. So far to date on English Avenue, we've put up about 80 grand. We did 30, we did 50 and then 30, which is a matching grant. We went back and got the same amount from the county, and give a few dollars, towards a little bit more due to fees or whatever else. So in this case, 30 some odd thousand, and we're getting 30 some odd thousand from the county of the open space, which is our money. It's on your tax bill. We're just trying to get some of our open space money back. And already we've made a lot of improvements down there. We refixed the fence, cleaned up along the creek there. DPW went down there. Now the fence is all the way down. We've taken out some trees that were open up the park a little bit. This next installment of improvements down there will really help grade and do some other work so that another soccer field or any other kind of field we want to use it for, flag football, anything, pee-wee football, anything we want to do down there, another nice big greenery area. And the rec meeting was this past Tuesday night, and the next round already is coming up for open space money, which again takes several months to get. And the rec commission is working real hard. They have a committee on this. And they want to be real aggressive, which I'll bring up at the next work meeting. They're hoping to go in the next round that's due at the beginning of August. They'd like to go in and go for at least do another matching grant for a total of about $200,000. What we really would like to do is focus on selling one of the parcels off or possibly use it as a parking lot area. But for all the folks in that area, in that on that cul-de-sac down there, as well on the other side of DAP Court, do some cleanup along the fence down there, maybe plant a whole row or a couple of rows of arborvitaes to give a nice shield to the residents, and really open up the other piece of property that could be used, clean it up, level it. So we want to try to get that park finished and have it as a real working park. So I'm very excited about this, and I'm very excited about the next round that we'll be doing to help improve that area and some other little areas up in Cherry Hill. So I'll talk more about that at the next work meeting. But this is very exciting, and I'm very happy for all the residents of Elmwood Park, particularly all the ones who live in that neck of the woods that use this park. One thing that we've been doing here for a number of years, the mayor and council, over the 4 years that I've been here and rec liaison with all my colleagues, we've fixed up a lot of the parks in all of the areas. We have some more work to do down by Larry's Park down there. Not Larry's Park, but down there. Rosemont. By Rosemont. We have new equipment ready to go in. So very excited about all this stuff that's happening in our parks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We knew
Any
you were
other
saving it for something, Tom.
We knew that. We knew it.
I'm just looking at the clock to see how much time you guys used up.
Sorry, Tom, sorry. Oh.
Call a roll, please.
On roll call, Councilmembers Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chewinski,
Yes.
Boncino.
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 210-12, introduce ordinance 12-10 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance creating a new chapter to be entitled Volunteer Emergency Standby Guidelines. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, June 7th, 2012, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance creating a new chapter to be entitled Volunteer Emergency Standby Guidelines pass on final reading. Mayor will need a motion to open to the public.
Anyone in the audience wish to be heard?
Mayor, can we take a motion on the, sorry.
I don't want to call for a motion. I want to do it.
Second.
I can do it myself. Wait, can I do this myself? I can do it myself. Mr.
Okay.
Mayor. Anyone in the audience who wish to be heard? If not, I'll close the public portion. May I have a motion on the ordinance, please?
So moved.
Second.
Very quietly, Mr. Boncino, so moved. Second, Mr. Coletti. Any discussion? Ladies and gentlemen, this volunteer emergency standby guidelines is when we have an absolute emergency in the borough of Elmwood Park, such as a hurricane, things of that nature. We have the fire department and we have the ambulance corps giving up their time to go out and help as much, if not more in some cases, as the police department, who get paid because it's their job. These are all volunteers, and we've set up a guideline where they would get a small stipend, hourly stipend, the ambulance corps and the fire department for assisting us. And we really appreciate that because in situations as we're talking about, these people have the same problems that all of us have. So they're coming in and helping everybody else when they may have those problems at home. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Lewinsky,
Yes.
Boncino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 211-12, introduced ordinance 12-11 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend Chapter 16 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Property Maintenance. Whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, June 7th, 2012, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and the Borough Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend Chapter 16 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Property Maintenance pass on final reading. Mayor will need to open to the public.
Anybody wish to be heard? If not, I'll close the public portion. May I have a motion on the council, please?
So moved.
Mr. Castiglia, second. Council President Work, any discussion? This is the property maintenance if somebody isn't in the house, we cut the grass, right? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this ordinance is we have every year some people who pass away, move, and the house is vacant for a long period of time. Grass grows, becomes slipshod. This will, and we've been doing in the past, but this is going to legalize it. DPW can go in and cut that grass, do whatever maintenance they have to do, and put a lien on the property so that if and when the property is sold, we get reimbursed for that work that was put into it. There are a few in town presently, and the grass is tremendously overgrown. We know about them, and DPW will get there as soon as they can. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chewinski,
Yes.
Boncino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. And Resolution 212-12, introduced ordinance 12-12 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend Chapter 4 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park titled Licensing and Business Registration. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, June 7th, 2012, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend Chapter 4 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Licensing and Business Registration pass on final reading.
Motion open to the public. Anyone wish to be heard? If not, I'll close the public portion. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Mr. Council President Work and Councilman Castiglia. Any discussion? This is for the park and ride?
Yes, sir.
This particular ordinance is addressing the cost of buying a yearly pass or a monthly pass to park at the railroad station on East 55th Street. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chewinski,
Yes.
Boncino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, moving on to the consent agenda. This evening, we have Resolution 213-12, payment of bills. Resolution 214-12, confirmation of checks. Resolution 215-12, confirmation of payroll. Resolution 216-12, redeem third-party tax lien, Haved Development LLC, Block 112, Lot 37. Resolution 217-12, redeem third-party tax lien, Haved Development LLC, Block 112, Lot 5. Resolution 218-12, appointment of summer day camp in the Recreation Department. Resolution 219-12, change order, Gantner Avenue and Miles Street sanitary sewer improvements. Resolution 220-12, authorize the Transportation Enhancement Grant, Phase 2 streetscape improvements to Market Street. Resolution 221-12, award Kip Avenue infrastructure improvements, Section 4 to Revax Contracting. Resolution 222-12, renew liquor licenses for the 2012-2013 license term. Resolution 223-12, appoint full-time employee in the Department of Public Works, Harrison Werner. Resolution 224-12, appoint part-time seasonal employee in the Department of Public Works, Adam Wagner. Resolution 225-12, appoint part-time seasonal employee in the Department of Public Works, John Scarpula. Resolution 226-12, authorization of grant agreement 2011 Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund grant. Resolution 227-12, award the 2012 road resurfacing program to AGM contractors. Resolution 228-12, approve the stipulation of settlement for Glenwood Plaza. And Resolution 229-12, approve the stipulation of settlement for Elmwood Terrace.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Bonsino, second.
Second.
Council President Work. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Tomboy,
Yes.
Chewinski,
Yes.
Bonsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Mayor, we have no applications this evening, but we have departmental reports from the municipal court, April 2012, library board minutes for April 23rd, 2012, and recreation commission minutes from April 17th, 2012, and May 15th, 2012.
Motion received and filed, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conboy
Second.
and Mr. Bonsino, discussion, all in favor, opposed, so ordered. Committee reports, Mr. Coletti.
Mayor, I had the privilege on June 14th to attend the kindergarten graduation ceremony, and it was the cutest thing I've seen in my whole lifetime. It lasted about 45 minutes, and out of the 45 minutes, the kids sang 6 songs for 35 minutes, and to just fathom the memory it took for those kids to carry 6 songs for 35 minutes continuously was just fabulous. With that said, I also attended this evening the 8th grade ceremony, and that wasn't as cute, but it was equally as satisfying. And then we have tomorrow evening, we have the high school graduation, and at this time it's undetermined whether or not it will be inside or outside, and that will be weather permitting. Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Chewinski.
That's it? That's
That's all she wrote.
On a short note, Bob, I attended a pre-K graduation. They sang also, but it was quite something to see. And who's going to be what? They're all going to be doctors, I think, and engineers and astronauts. All right, on another front, the fire department meeting, which was passed last week, all radios and batteries, backups, and everything else have been maintained. The ladder truck 4 is finally back in service. It's been out for a long time with the problem with the waterway and the ladder. At the chief's meeting, the people from Markel came in with their structural engineers to address their roof fire problems due to the paper dust that's been accumulating up there, and they came up with quite a number of solutions which they addressed to the fire department, and we'll keep them in the loop and be very proactive. Also, I'd like to say congratulations to all the middle school students that graduated tonight. On another note, the fire department is still in the loop with the National Night Out. I think that's still for August 7th, if that's correct, August 7th. I attended the JIF Claims Committee meeting last night, this past Wednesday. Everything is still in good standing with Elmwood Park. However, a lot of the workman's comp claims seem to have jumped in the last month considerably. I attended the county meeting last night. Nothing mind-shaking, but the agenda will be on file for anybody who wants to see how their county dollars are spent. Also, I saw this morning, or was it yesterday morning, the county was out at Artesian Fields cutting the grass, it looked like, on the perimeter. Actually cutting the grass down by East 54th Street and around parts of Gilbert. Yeah, this morning I saw them out there maintaining.
If I may, they've done that through the years. That's as far as they go.
Yeah, but it seemed like they stopped for a long time and then.
They cut just the corner.
Right.
And now they won't go back there and it'll grow again, especially the corner of Gilbert and the.
We'll keep on top of it.
Yeah, have to.
Also, I'd like to say my prayers go out. I just found in our package that Al Feuning gave up his spot on the planning board. He's sick, and my prayers go out to him and his family at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Council President Work?
Thank you, Mayor. The Elmwood Park Health Department will be continuing to offer the free child health clinics to the residents of Elmwood Park. The next date, time, place for the free adult consultation and blood pressure clinic will be announced at a later date by the Health Department. Once again, no appointments are required for these clinics. Walk-in residents are welcome. So please call the Health Department office for the updated dates for this clinic. You can reach the Health Department at 201-996-2038 for these details. The next child health clinics will be held on July 2nd, Monday evening from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and on July 5th, Thursday morning from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So please remember the immunizations required by the Board of Education are available at these child clinics. Once again, these clinics are for free well visits, free immunizations for families that are underinsured or uninsured. These clinics are by appointment only. Please call the Elmwood Park Board of Health at 201-996-2038 to set up your appointment. The child health clinics are held at the clinic room in the lower level of the municipal building. You can use the Market Street entrance for this clinic. The Elmwood Park Board of Health will begin the new shared services agreement on July 1st, 10 more days with Lodi. This shared service agreement, which will bring in an additional $44,900 to Elmwood Park, and will also be the second shared service agreement for the Elmwood Park Health Department. This shared service agreement includes health officer services, as well as providing public health insurance programs, adult and child health clinics for the Lodi residents. The Board of Health, realizing the success of the shared service agreement with Saddlebrook, is developing a plan to share services with additional municipalities, along with providing additional services for these municipalities. The Mayor and Council had a preliminary discussion taking on these additional municipalities, and we will need to crunch the numbers to determine the profitability of taking on these additional responsibilities. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Boncino.
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
We're going to go straight on through. Different.
Sure.
See,
So you can get me last.
So you don't confuse
I get
them.
everybody confused. I'm going out of order.
I'm going before Tom, that's a big thing here.
Go to Tom first. That's right, go to Tom first.
Just a quick follow-up on English Avenue. I just want to commend the Board of Recreation for their attention to that park. I know as a resident of that area, I saw firsthand, being there on a number of occasions, that it did need some improvements. And as Councilman Conboy pointed out, small incremental improvements will make a big change for the residents of town and specifically for a lot of the young people that are in the neighborhood there at English Ave. So again, I commend the Board of Recreation. Chief Johnson and his leadership are continuing to evaluate police officer candidates. They're moving past the background checks and moving into the interview process. So I'll have more to come as that progresses. I'm also happy to report, and you may have seen it in community news, the police department held a DWI checkpoint on June 9th. It was a long time coming to get back to. We made 8 arrests that evening, but more importantly, Chief Johnson empowered his team to plan and execute the checkpoint. And I commend him and the department for that checkpoint. Good to get back to that. Councilman Conboy in the past had mentioned a service called Nixle, and you can find it at www.nixle.com. And that's a service that provides emergency services alerts to residents. And you could go onto that website and you could register your cell phone, you could register your email, you could select what departments at the state, the county, or municipal levels you would like to get alerts from, and you customize it. And Chief Johnson uses it regularly to send out alerts that are important to us in the community. So I encourage the residents to take advantage of that service and see if you like it. If you find you're getting too many text messages, you can opt out, but give it a try. And finally, I'd like to congratulate the middle school 8th graders on their graduation. Enjoy the summer. I recommend when you get to high school, hit the ground running because the 4 years are going to go really fast. And you'll have little time to make up for any shortfalls that freshman year. So hit the books hard. And to our high school seniors that are graduating, I wish you best of luck on your graduation. Best of luck if you're going to pursue a college degree, if you're going to enter the military or embark on a trade. I wish you nothing but the best in all your future endeavors. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Castiglia? I'm sorry, Mr. Conboy.
You see him?
Progress.
Mr. Castiglia?
April Fools. I too would like to just jump on two topics. I'd like to congratulate all of our graduating students in all of our educational institutions here in our community, whether you go to St. Leo's or the public schools. Great job, great year. Thank you for working so hard, and congratulations to all our students on a great school year and all of our grads. I would just like to piggyback a little bit on Councilman Monsino's talk about the Nixle. Please, folks, especially a lot of the sons and daughters who buy their moms or dads, if they're living home alone, cell phones so they can get them. They don't have to worry about getting up and breaking a hip or something or tripping, and they have a cell phone. It's a great device if they know how to use it. Like with all the heat I had this week, nice messages went out from a lot of agencies where the cooling centers were and this and that. So Councilman Monsino is 100% right. Please jump on it, and you can always opt out if it gets to be too much. Ellen Park is on there and so forth, so it's a great little handy tool. I know I enjoy it. So, well, I also like to, on the business front, being liaison to the business, I want to, Hoboken has their Cake Boss, and Ellen Park now has theirs. We have a new baker on Margaret Street. From a guy who knows a lot about desserts. Check this guy out. He couldn't have had a better last name besides Conboy. But the new owner of the business on Market Street, the corner of Market and Church, the previous bakery, Nadia's. He's going to eventually change the name, but his name, the owner, is Randy McCrum. Crumb. It's bound to have the best crumb cake, right? Hoboken can have, buddy. We got Randy McCrum. Hopefully it'll be like McCrum's Bakery, maybe. I don't know. But him and his wife, husband and wife team, they're going to try to run that place. And I know they're already cooking up a storm. So stop in, buy a cupcake, say hello, and welcome to the community. Again, staying on the business front, again, with the being liaison there, I want to thank Spencer Bank. Last Friday, we had a great movie night. Borough Field was packed. It looked great. Everybody was having a good time. Spencer Bank sponsored that evening, helped offset a lot of the cost. So I want to thank all the folks at Spencer. If you don't bank at Spencer, wherever you bank, that's fine. Maybe send a little thank you note. It's always nice to let our businesses know that we appreciate the little things that they do when they can do it for us. So whether you bank there or not, give them a shout for a thank you anyway. August 7th will be National Night Out, beginning at 6:30. More details will follow. A great evening is planned. Every department here is being used, as you heard some of the other councilmen talk about. Fire departments doing a bang-up job to be there that night. Ambulance Corps, the police department, mayor, and council. Maybe we'll try to get some of the council members again dishing out the Italian ices and so forth. And it should be a great night. There'll be a watermelon eating contest again. Those of us that were here last year, I was a little upset I couldn't participate. They wouldn't let me, but the kids had a lot of fun. They won bicycles and stuff. And it's going to be another great night, another great national night out to come out and meet our emergency services as well as our police department and say thanks to all of our guys in blue. Spray grounds, folks, come on. It was a great week. Spray grounds will be opening up. Don't forget to get down there. Get the park, the Spray Ground Park again. We did some revamping over the last 2 years. It looks awesome. New floor, new bottom. Safe for the kids, safe for everybody. So check out the Spray Ground Park. Camp. A lot of kids are signed up for camp. Kids are still signing up for camp. The rec office has been inundated this week with kids signing up for camp. So you still can get in. We'll always take you. So stop over there and get involved in the summer camp. That's it. Thank you very much.
Councilman Castiglia.
Thank you. First of all, before I forget, congratulations to all the graduates. I should make it to the high school graduation tomorrow. I didn't make it today, couldn't make it. Tom mentioned McCrumb's Bakery coming into Nadia's. That's at 246 Market Street, right next to Angelo's. He also took my McCrumb joke. We couldn't believe that that was his real name that night. But
You know what? He said that's never been
he
questioned.
thought he was faking it, you know?
I remember when I asked that question, McCrum, he said nobody's ever.
Nobody's
said
ever asked me that before, yeah.
I don't know how come.
That'll be coming in. Get over there, give him some business. There's an accounting bookkeeping firm. It'll be moving in at 1 Route 46 West. That's where 1001 Auto Parts used to be. There's a little strip mall there now. The services at this accounting firm will be by appointment only. There's no walk-in trade. So if you want to get involved with this guy, you got to call for an appointment. All garment cleaners will be coming in. 133 Broadway. That's across the street from Kmart, where the furniture store used to be. And a long time ago, it was Aristocrat Tuxedos. That's going to be all garment cleaners now. The Elmwood Shopping Center will be getting its first fitness center. The managers of that property, I guess they kind of thought with their attorney that the parking might be a problem there because it would be really a lot of parking, supposedly for a fitness center. They have some office space above the bank, which they're not going to be using. And that will make up for the extra space. As a matter of fact, it actually improves the parking situation by a couple of %. But, you know, it's a very clean application. We wish them much success. And also, you know, I mentioned these new establishments to welcome them to town, and also to get everybody out there and realize that if we want them to stay, we should be giving our local businesses what we can. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Chernwinski indicated that we have a member of our planning board, Albert Funing, who resigned as a health condition. And I'd like to submit this to, you already have it, right, Keith?
I do.
Okay. And I would like to appoint in his position for the remainder of his term, John Viviani of 264 Kip Avenue, who's a construction worker, building worker. He was involved with putting up the World Trade Center and has worked on these tremendous buildings for many years. So he should be an asset to the planning board. And I'll keep it short at that point and ask if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard. No one wishes to be.
Oh, boy.
Good. Steve Conley, 274 Market Street. The grant for Market Street, transportation grant, this is just the application, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no projected if we were going to get the grant.
Yes, and we've approached the Chamber of Commerce about asking the business owners, especially on Market Street, to write letters of endorsement, which I know Mr. Conte, you did for us last year. We're trying to up that initiative to try to illustrate to the federal government that we have additional support this year.
My biggest question on the grant, if it gets approved, and I know they want to do the pavers, you know, in front of my buildings, I got very nice trees which are pruned and taken care of by me. I'm curious if those trees are going to have to come down and be replaced, or are they going to be able to stay?
He'll probably be able to stay because once we get the grant, we will control how it's done.
Okay, that's my concern. You answered my question about the
If we have to take them down, we'll pot them and we put it in your establishment. How big are they? Steve?
Answer my question about police hires because
Can I just
unfortunately they are
through you, Mayor?
stretched.
Through you, Mayor, can I just expand on that a little bit?
Sure.
It's been a difficult process, and I've been working with the chief almost daily. We're trying to interview people who are coming off a rice list, which means that they were laid off in other jurisdictions. Patterson has just been notified that they're going to rehire 27 of those officers. So some of the crop of candidates, for lack of a better term, that were available have now been offered their jobs back. So that's what's taken this process a little bit longer. But we do have qualified candidates that we have commenced background checks on.
Unfortunately, if I can add on to that, they've been told they're getting a grant, and I think it's an 18-month grant. In 18 months, they'll be laying off police officers again.
Sure they will.
You know, and I don't know what they're going to do. It's very difficult for them to hire them back and lay them off and hire them back. Maybe some of them would rather come here.
Well, the number of retirees we've had over the years, we're a little stretched thin. That's what my concern was. Any update on the passive park issue? the boulevard?
No.
Any update on the library board's issue?
They're working on that, and they will get back to us as soon as they come up with a full proposal as to what they would try to do.
Okay. Tom, any plans on adding in any area, one of the parks, anything for skateboarding?
Actually, yes, as what I alluded a little bit tonight, I think. Excuse me?
I shot you.
You shot me?
Shot skateboarding?
No, not at all. Well, skating, I don't know about skateboarding,
Right.
but skating.
Right.
What we're looking to do is down at English Ave, the parcels that were purchased, on that one piece that's all the way in the back, landlocked. Again, I mentioned a little bit, giving a little preview whether or not it all goes through, but with that piece of property, we'd like to put up a couple of rows of arborvitaes, ones that grow real tall, to give the residents something nicer to look at by Davenport there. And what we want to do, we were looking at a map that we had Tuesday night of the whole piece of property, a tax map, and with that one parcel, we, because now which way the playground is situated, which I'm glad we have new playground equipment there, and we're not about to move it. I always thought, the best place for it to have been was up more up front. That way you had the big long run. So we've kind of now locked unless we move the playground, which we're not going to do, we just placed all that new stuff and fix that up. So that gives us a nice little alleyway to take, to go this way. Again, here's the creek that we could, on this piece of parcel here, we were thinking of putting up, Fairlawns is always being used. Glen Rocks is always being used. There's one down on Passaic Avenue, which is still River Road in Kearney, which they even have lights. We're talking about putting in, and now we have street hockey, which is very successful over at the rec. We were looking to put in a street hockey / roller skating little arena, like you may have seen some of the towns have. What? I know your sons will be killing you, but the mayor one thing about being the mayor, you get to take credit. I know Lou's kids used to torment him when he was on the campaign trail about the place to have. But it would be for roller skating.
Don't they have one in Saddlebrook? Don't they have
street hockey?
No, the
county park does.
Yeah. Right
Yeah.
in Saddlebrook.
Yep, and that one is always, I don't know about that particular one, but I know the other ones are tough to get on, because we looked into it a little bit about getting on, but we're looking to it would be perfect to put one right there. We're also going to make it a multi-purpose use, where there could also be basketball nets put up as well, in the off-season, when it's not being used for the other things. It would look really cool down there, and I think the residents would, it would be something really nice for everybody. So yes, whether or not it goes through and all that pieces, but that would be a great place to have that.
We talk about the continuous CL issue. The question is what we're doing legal as of right now, or is it not legal? That's the question. So I don't think there should be any issue between, are we doing it right? That's the whole point.
Thank you.
I am done. Mayor, you brought up about parking in the town. You don't have enough parking in town, which is true. And you go around to other towns and you see Ridgewood and you see Fairlawn and Glen Rock. You have vacant stores as well. But those towns are progressive in terms of the town is trying to find municipal parking for the businesses to improve the business flow. Are we doing that here?
Are you talking about buying a parking lot?
I'm just asking the question because. Like I brought up a while ago, when the Texaco station was closed, Councilman Kasai brought up about buying a municipal lot. Okay? And I understand people think it's a waste of money. But by putting in a municipal lot, which helps the businesses out, which will entice business to come because there is parking. This is our problem. Same with Route 4. Fairlawn is doing something in their end on Route 4. What are we doing on our end? Or are we going to jump in on that grant?
We've had
Garfield, let me finish. Garfield did major work on River Road. They got tremendous amount of grant money. What about us?
What about us?
That's my question.
The county gave them hundreds of thousands of dollars. The federal government gave up hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're putting parking in, and not for the stores, but for the people who are using that park.
But did we even attempt it?
Us?
Yeah.
Where are we going to put a park on River Road?
I'm just making a comment. We're just on River Road.
Listen,
I'm talking about Route 4.
I'm still trying to get sound barriers.
Do we have any plans for improvement on Route 4?
Well, a couple of the stores in the past have purchased the property behind them.
I understand that, but any kind of either redevelopment or going along with
Well, I have-
what they're doing.
I have no problem
they're
putting,
asking for.
I have no problem putting an ordinance in saying that if the people behind those stores want to sell it to the businesses, that's fine.
I saw the shopper, I believe it was this week, about our planning board attorney.
No, he's not there anymore.
I understand that. I just didn't, it kind of took me by surprise, I didn't know what was going on with that. The property maintenance code about houses that aren't yet being maintained, absolutely we need it. I go back to the same thing and I know the answer. Why wasn't it enforced for Mr. Langman's property for all the years that it wasn't being maintained? And I understand we're gonna go back to the former building inspector. That's fine. But, you know, I've been bringing it up for years. And nobody followed up with it. And as of right now, he was never fined or whatever. And I think that's a disgrace. And I keep on bringing it up because if that was my property or if that was somebody else's property, I'd be getting fined. Okay? And that's an annoyance. Regarding English Avenue Park. English Avenue Park I've been bringing up for years. Thank you, Tom. About trying to improve it down there. And I brought it up many years ago with Jack McLaughlin, the former councilman who passed away. And Jack also had very good ideas about doing things like that down there. And I do think maybe once the park is completed, it would be nice maybe to dedicate a plaque to Jack in his memory.
He's got something at the
I understand that. That's not what I'm asking. He lived down there, that was his neck of the woods. I brought it to him for many years about improving English Avenue Park. And you know what, when you had your split council years ago, when they brought up this grandiose plan, I wasn't for it because it was a waste of money, because a lot of it we could have done ourselves as we're doing now. But still, it was something that Jack was interested in doing. Because he was the only one that listened to me about it. So I do think, you may not agree with me, and that's fine, but I do think that's something to keep in mind.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard? If not, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Coletti and Mr. Conboy, any discussion? All in favor, opposed, so ordered. Thank you, and hold on 1 minute, please, before you turn that off. If you want to see this on TV, okay, we have the times, channel 76 and 77, Thursdays 4 to 7 p.m., and Mondays 2 p.m., or you can see this on our website, www.elmwoodparknj.us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate your attendance.
Oh, yeah?
County and my folder. There, use this one.